Knights, a motorcycle group comprised of current and former firefighters, as well as their families, are taking part in an annual tradition. For the first time, it's taking place in Maine. Red Knights members from across the U.S. and Canada are taking part in the 2025 Yankee Rally that will raise money for 5 different charities in Maine. Those charities include Make-A-Wish Maine, the Ronald McDonald House, Sarah's House, Adoptive and Foster Families of Maine, and Toys for Tots. Over the course of the week, they've been riding to different parts of the state, holding auctions, raffles, and more.
I've met so many people I don't know, and just meeting all those people and seeing everybody come together for causes that aren't necessarily something they would normally participate in, but to really come together and pull together for us and the charities that mean the most to us really is just, it's overwhelming. It's been great.
Over 300 Red Knights have taken part in this week's rally.